Hello, I'm Sandra, and I'd like to share the complexities of my relationship with my mother-in-law, Emily. Emily always seemed to complicate things for me. She held old-fashioned views and never truly took a liking to me. For a while, my husband Jason and I lived far from them, so Emily couldn't trouble us much. However, when Jason secured a job nearer to them, we had to interact with her more frequently. I managed to cope with Emily's behavior since I had experience dealing with challenging people, like my own parents. Fortunately, Jason's father, Jacob, was always kind to me. The challenging part was that Emily spent time with my daughter, Janet, who was 9 at the time. Janet adored her grandparents, who were the only ones she really knew, as I had no contact with my own parents. Despite the issues Emily and I faced, I set them aside for Janet's sake. I wanted Janet to maintain a good relationship with her grandparents, and since Jason also valued family deeply, I couldn't simply exclude Emily from our lives. Janet enjoyed spending time with her grandparents, but Emily still caused issues occasionally. Emily persistently criticized Janet's diet, claiming I wasn't feeding her properly. She believed Janet needed more nuts for protein despite Janet's nut allergy, that even the smell of nuts could aggravate. I repeatedly explained this to Emily, but she refused to listen, insisting that eating nuts would help Janet overcome her allergy and even calling me a bad mother. We had consulted with the doctor, and Janet's meals were balanced. Skipping nuts wouldn't harm anyone but could seriously affect Janet. Despite my explanations and the doctor's advice, Emily remained unconvinced that exposing Janet to nuts would aid her allergies. Exhausted from arguing and being labeled a bad mother, and aware that Emily had even tried to persuade Janet to eat nuts, which Janet always refused, I grew increasingly concerned about what Emily might do next. I decided to discuss it with Jason. I'm really worried about leaving Janet alone with Emily. I'm afraid she might give Janet food she's allergic to. Thinking it will help her allergies, I expressed to him. Don't worry so much, Sandra. My mom might hold old-fashioned views, but she knows her boundaries, and Dad is always there to intervene if necessary. Janet loves being with her grandparents, and we can't simply prevent her from seeing them, Jason said, trying to reassure me. However, as Emily continued to disregard Janet's allergies, my fears for Janet's safety grew whenever she was with them without me. We need to discuss this. I can't keep worrying like this, I insisted. Relax, Sandra. There's no need to stop Janet from seeing my parents over this minor issue. Janet loves being with them, and if you're concerned about Mom, I'll speak to her. She'll listen to me, Jason assured me. His reassurances made sense. Janet truly enjoyed her time with her grandparents, so I couldn't bring myself to stop her. If Janet had ever expressed that she didn't want to see them, I would have respected her wishes. I would have respected her decision, but I didn't realize that even Jason couldn't alter Emily's behavior. Things escalated at Janet's 11th birthday party, to which Jacob and Emily were invited. Emily appeared unusually excited, which unsettled me, though I couldn't pinpoint why. When they arrived early, I was surprised, as Emily typically avoided being near me. She handed Janet a large present wrapped in birthday paper, exclaiming, "Happy birthday, Janet. Here's your gift. Grandma got you something really special." Janet thanked Emily, and then Emily remarked, "Wow, that's a big gift. What's inside, Grandpa?" "I have no idea, Janet. Grandma chose it, and she won't even tell me what's in there. We'll both find out when you open it," Jacob replied. "Come on, open Grandma's gift and see what she got you. I bet you'll love it, sweetie. I'll be your favorite grandma ever," Emily said excitedly. "I can't wait to see what you got me, Grandma. I'm so excited," Janet said. "We'll open all the gifts after we cut the cake. Let your friends arrive, and once we finish the cake, you can start opening the presents," I suggested. No, Janet needs to open my gift before cutting the cake. "That's why I came early, to give her my special present," Emily insisted. Despite my suspicions about Emily's behavior, Janet seemed genuinely delighted to receive such a nice gift from her grandma. The large, heavy package made Janet even more eager, and she couldn't wait to see what was inside. She wanted to start opening her presents once all her friends were there. I agreed to let Janet open Emily's gift before the cake, as Emily insisted it had to be done that way. I didn't want to upset Janet on her birthday, so we went along with it. But little did I know what a disaster it would turn into. Janet and her parents were profoundly disappointed by the one person they trusted. Emily not only ruined Janet's birthday, but also turned everyone against her. When Janet opened the gift, she found a big cake with her name on it. She was momentarily happy, but then suddenly passed out. Jason and I rushed to her, scared and confused, as we saw her throat swelling up. In shock, I watched as Jason hurried to get an epinephrine shot while someone else called the police. Knowing exactly who was behind this, I confronted Emily, demanding answers. "What on earth did you put in Janet's cake? What's in it?" I asked, my voice shaking with anger and fear. Emily feigned ignorance, replying, "I didn't do anything, Sandra. It's just a regular cake. I don't understand what's happening. Maybe something you did caused Janet to faint. You've been neglecting her nutrition despite my warnings, and now she's paying the price." "Don't try to blame me. Janet was fine just a moment ago, and now she's having an allergic reaction. Tell me what you did to her, Emily. I hope you didn't tamper with the cake. You need to own up to your actions and take responsibility. Look at Janet. She's turning blue." I snapped back, ignoring Emily's excuses and focusing solely on Janet. I hurried over with the epinephrine I always kept on hand for emergencies. Although Janet's swelling subsided somewhat, she remained unconscious. It was evident that she needed to be taken to the hospital for a full recovery. The room was filled with concern for Janet. Tears welled up in my eyes, and even Jason appeared on the verge of tears. Emily, already crying, seemed frightened. At that moment, I decided to cut open the cake to see what was inside. What I discovered appalled me. I demanded explanations from Emily, questioning her judgment for incorporating nuts into the cake. "Emily, what were you thinking? You ignored my warnings and put nuts in the cake, endangering Janet's health. How could you be so reckless?" "I only wanted to help Janet, not harm her. I didn't appreciate you being so strict about Janet's diet. While it's true Janet might sometimes have reactions, I believed gradually introducing her to nuts could help," Emily argued. My frustration peaked as I confronted her. "Are you insane? Our daughter is allergic to nuts. She could have died from this reaction. Who gave you the authority to decide how to manage her allergies? Look at the chaos you've created." "I'm Janet's grandmother, and I have the right to care for her. She'll be fine. You're all overreacting. You're just trying to frighten me for no reason. I'm convinced this is all part of Camilla's scheme to make me look bad. But listen, Emily, if things go my way today, you're going to be in big trouble. Right now, all I care about is Janet's health," I asserted firmly. Just then, the ambulance arrived with paramedics. They attended to Janet and transported her to the hospital, with us following closely. The doctors informed us that Janet would need some time to wake up and would have to stay in the hospital for a day or two. We were all overcome with emotion. I broke down in the hospital, finding solace in Jason's arms. After regaining my composure, I called Jacob to inform everyone that Janet was no longer in danger. When I hung up, I turned to Jason and expressed my fury. "I'll never forgive Emily for what she did today. She could have endangered our daughter's life. This is so serious it's unbelievable. I wouldn't have believed it if I hadn't seen it myself. My mother has become someone I no longer recognize. She did all this just to make me look like a bad mom. She pretended to care about Janet's well-being, but never considered the danger to Janet. Despite everything, she still claims I orchestrated it all. Today showed me how far my mother will go to tarnish your reputation. I'm so sorry I didn't see it sooner and didn't do more to shield her from us. I need to protect Janet from my mother's harmful influence. I failed as a husband and as a father, Jason said, beginning to grasp the gravity of the situation. Jacob, who had always been a supportive grandfather, was visibly distressed by Emily's actions. This time she crossed the line. Although she had escaped consequences before, we were determined not to let her off easily now. We resolved right then that we couldn't allow Emily to continue harming Janet. Her actions posed a threat to Janet's safety, and we could no longer tolerate her disruptive influence in our lives. Emily was no longer welcome in our family. We were committed to ensuring Janet's upbringing in a secure and loving environment. It wouldn't be simple, but for Janet's sake, we were prepared to uphold this decision. After a sincere conversation, my husband and I decided that while Janet was still in the hospital, it was time for us to return home. Jacob, Emily, and a few guests remained eager for updates about Janet's condition. This provided the perfect moment to confront Emily's behavior once we got home. 4 hours had elapsed since the incident, and in the living room we found Jacob reprimanding Emily, who seemed indifferent and preoccupied with her phone. The uncut birthday cake sat forlornly beside them, a somber reminder of the events. Despite my grief, I composed myself. When they noticed us, Jacob and Emily hurried over. "I just got an update," I said. "Janet is in capable hands and should recover soon. Although she remains unconscious, the doctors are optimistic." "Thank goodness Janet will be okay," Emily asserted. "I was so worried, but it looks like everything will be fine. It wasn't even a major issue. Janet will be fine, and her nut allergy will eventually disappear." In that instant, Jason unleashed his frustration on Emily, reproaching her for her actions. Jacob expressed his disappointment, and the guests, visibly shocked, looked at Emily with disapproval. I was filled with anger. "I've had it with you, Emily," I declared. "We've given you so many opportunities to change, but even after your actions landed my daughter in the hospital, you show no remorse. This is the end. You will never be allowed near Janet or our family again. You are banned from this house. You can't tell me where to go. Your son won't cut me off for no reason. I won't let you keep me from my granddaughter just because we disagree on how to raise her," Emily retorted. "No, Mom," Jason replied firmly. "You're not welcome near me or my family ever again. Dad can come here anytime, but not you. He's the only sensible grandparent Janet has. He has done his best to keep Janet safe, but today you put Janet in the hospital and acted as if it was the right thing to do. I can't allow someone so heartless to be around my daughter." Emily was shocked that her own son was turning against her. She had always trusted Jason to support her, not realizing that he was being rational, unlike her. Even the guests began to criticize her, feeling isolated with no one on her side, not even Jacob. In desperation, she yelled at us, blaming me for orchestrating her downfall. "This is all your fault, Sandra. You turned everyone against me. I'll never forgive you for this. You should be begging for our forgiveness. Your actions have ruined your reputation and kept you from Janet. I'll see you for grandparents' rights. I'll take you to court and the judge will let me see Janet. Just wait and see. I don't need anyone's support." I responded firmly, "You're not going to have much luck getting grandparents' rights from jail. I'm sure the judge would find it quite ironic to have a criminal asking for visitation after endangering her own granddaughter." Emily protested, "What are you talking about, Sandra? Why would I go to jail? I didn't do anything wrong." "What you did is a crime, Emily. You can be arrested for knowingly exposing a child to allergens, which is considered a form of poisoning. Maybe you didn't realize it, but Jason and I did. We've already called the police on you, and look, here they come now to arrest you." Emily, in denial, insisted, "No, you're lying. This can't be happening. You can't arrest me for this." Emily's panicked expression revealed her desperation as she begged us to drop the charges, tears streaming down her face. Just then, 2 officers entered and informed her that she was under arrest. She clutched at her handbag, pleading with us not to send her to jail. Jason remained unmoved, instructing the officers to take her away, while I gave Emily a stern look, signaling that her deceitful game was over. In a final attempt, she turned to Jacob for help, begging him, "Jacob, please, you can't let your wife get arrested like this." But Jacob stood firm, saying, "When my wife does something truly terrible and shows no remorse, I won't protect her. I've warned you for years to change, and you never listened. Today you put our granddaughter in danger." I was only trying to protect her, not realizing it would hurt her so badly. "Please, Jacob, I'm your wife. You have to help me," Emily pleaded desperately. Jason stood by his decision, saying firmly, "Emily, I've already cut you out of my life. It's the right thing to do, and I plan to do the same tomorrow. I'll talk to a divorce lawyer. I want to end this as soon as possible. I won't stay with someone like you." "I'll protect my granddaughter and my kids from you." Emily was shocked and pleaded desperately, "No, no, no, Jacob, you can't do this to me. I'm your wife." Ignoring her, Jacob told the officers to take her away. Emily continued crying and begging for help, bringing a tumultuous end to an event that had long concluded. A sense of peace washed over me as Jacob, and I went back to the hospital after the other guests left. Clearly upset by Emily's actions, they promised to tell everyone what she had done the next day. Janet woke up feeling much better, but was terrified of Emily. Janet cried and begged us to keep her away from her grandmother, explaining how Emily had tried to make her eat things she was allergic to. To help Janet cope with her feelings, we sought therapy. We arranged for a therapist for Janet, and at the same time, Jason and I began attending therapy together to improve our communication as a family. Having Jacob's support was crucial for us all. With his assistance, we began to heal and grow stronger as a unit. Sophie's life deteriorated sharply after the incident. Her actions finally caught up with her, leading to severe consequences. Once her family learned of what she had done, they reprimanded her and severed ties. Even her friends, appalled by her behavior, ceased communication with her. With nowhere else to turn, Emily found herself in a dire situation, pleading for bail money but receiving no assistance. The next day, Jacob filed for divorce, and Emily was served with divorce papers while still incarcerated. Receiving the divorce papers triggered a fit of rage in Emily. In the subsequent months, Jacob managed to secure a quick divorce, leveraging state laws and the police report as evidence. Our legal case against Emily progressed, and despite expectations for Emily to cover Janet's medical expenses, her financial difficulties led to a lengthy prison sentence as the judge ruled against her. Furthermore, we obtained restraining orders to ensure she stays away from our family. Confident that Emily won't have the opportunity to approach us again, we remain vigilant. However, if by any chance she attempts to cross the line, she will meet the resolute defense of Mama and Papa Bear, who are determined to do whatever it